What's up, guys? It's Aaron, the trucking guy, coming at you with my company, the Hotshot guy. Follow me. If you would, please like, share. Money Penny Trucking. That's my team. That's my fleet. That's my company. Having a little pizza, sitting at home. Thought I'd make a video. I'm way behind on making some content. I had a bunch of stuff I wanted to do. Just been really busy. Haven't had time to do it. And I thought today would be the good time. So I have a couple of things. I'm gonna make a few videos tonight, just going over some content. But basically, here lately I've been getting a lot of questions from people, new people coming into the game, or people that have been in it for a while, wondering how do I go about getting loads? That's the question, right? How do I go about getting freight? How do I go about making relationships? What do I do? So there's a few things you need to do. Coming into the game, you need to have as many load boards as possible, but not saturate to where you're too sporadically looking all over the place. So get you DAT and truckstop.com. Okay, you can get two apps on your phone. You can use your laptop. You can get the pro version if you don't want to refresh everything. If you think it's going to come in faster, I've had both. Sometimes they do. Sometimes I'll be booking just from my phone or an iPad or something, depending on where I'm at and what I'm doing. Sometimes I'll be from my laptop. Sometimes I'll be at the office and have a couple of screens going. It just depends on what's going on in my day. But I prefer, iPad. You can't really get the pro versions as far as I know on the iPhones and stuff. So you have to do it on a desktop or a laptop so that they'll open. But I didn't really notice a huge difference from those to just the regular, $30 a month version. But basically you need to be, and this is for hotshot trucks, so there's a million different, trucks and ways to go about it, but this is for, hotshot trucks, your 40-foot guys. They're calling me all the time. I know a lot of guys are on one specific platform, say DAT, or they're on Truckstop and they just pay for one. Like, I like this one, I'm gonna use this one. But you need to be on both and you need to switch back and forth, have, two apps running at the same time where you can easily switch back and forth, because some brokers and agents and customers like to book, they like have one that they use, one that they like or whatever. And a lot of times you'll see the same load on both load boards, but those are the two main ones that are important. Then you've got whatever carrier that you're set up with as an A-rated carrier, whatever company you're set up with, whether it be Landstar, Coyote, C.H. Robinson, a million other ones. They have load boards usually, independent load boards. There's several that we're with that they have load boards. I haven't really messed with them too much, just because they don't seem to update fast enough. What I've actually done is I have a broker that I'm, tied in with that company that I can call, and they seem to get things done faster for me than if I went through their load board. In my opinion, their load boards just don't update fast enough. Or I'll be looking in an area, say on C.H. Robinson load board, and I'll call my girl at C.H. Robinson and I'll say, do you have any loads in that area? And she'll say, yeah, I've got this, this, and this. And they're not even on the load board, so I don't know where the discrepancy is, but something's happening that, is causing me not be able, to get that, or they're new, or she has, different clients or whatever the case is. So that helps you out. If you're able to build relationships, that's what you need to do. In any given situation, you need to build relationships. So if you can have, brokers, if you can have your own customers, if you can have, these large conglomerate companies like, the Landstar, JB Hunt's, C.H. Robinson, if you can have an agent there that calls you every day, and where you at, or you can give updates to, or they'll email you things. The goal is to get your email looking like a load board. So if you wake up in the morning, instead of going to the regular load boards, or the market, and getting transactional freight, you've actually, transferred it to a system where the loads come to you. Now, anytime that you're a reliable carrier and you're doing a good job, that person, whether it be a broker, customer, whatever the situation is, they're going to come to you first before they would give that to the load board to somebody that they don't know. Why? Because they trust you. So building that trust is key. If you build that trust, then you can, demand a higher price. You can, easily negotiate better because you have something to negotiate on. So if you have, X amount of loads that you've done, you can say, well, right off the negotiation factor, you can say, would you rather give that to somebody you don't know, or would you rather give it to a carrier who you can trust, who gets the job done? And those negotiation tactics will help you in the long run. So starting off, anybody that's just coming into the game, you need to get a DAT app and you need to get a truckstop.com app. You can get the Landstar and set up with them, C.H. Robinson set up with them, King of Freight set up with them, Jones Transport set up with them. There's a million different ones, okay? But those individual platforms, I think, would take longer to look through than if you look through, the two main ones, which is DAT and truckstop.com. Those are the conglomerates, in the industry. So if you're new, go to truckstop.com, get their app, DAT, get their app. How you're searching your freight. Now, the way you can run a Hotshot is many different ways. You can run it as a step deck, RGN, with ramps. If you have air ride, if you have a winch, there's, whatever type of equipment that you have. You have tarps. If you have a longer one, a step deck, for instance, 48, 53 foot, specialty equipment. There's just a million different ways to run your equipment. You don't have to look just for Hotshot loads. I know guys call me like, man, I look for Hotshot loads, there's no loads. I look for flatbed, and they populate sometimes, and then sometimes there's things specific to flatbed, like it has to be dock height. So we have limitations being a 40-foot gooseneck. It's not dock high. Depending on the type of ramps that you have, if you have pull-out ramps, you can't load heavier stuff like the, 15,000-pound Bobcats or, track hose or whatever, certain trucks or different things. So having those flip-up mega ramps, that gives you, more versatility. Having air ride, not having air ride, there's something that'll open you up to different things. Having tarps that'll open you up, pipe stakes. There's so many different types of equipment that'll open you up and remove limitations from you that you can actually, do more. So most of my guys, they have all the equipment that they need to do oversized freight, to do coils, as far as coil racks, dunnage if they need it, 8-foot tarps if they need it, chains, everything that they would need to. A lot of them have air ride trailers. They're more expensive trailer. A lot of them have mega ramps, the flip down ramps, so they can load and unload the heavier stuff. Because I know, when I first started, I had pull out ramps. Those ramps are rated for like 7,000, 8,000, 9,000 pounds, something like that. You can't put heavier, pieces of equipment on there because it'll just break the ramps, bend the ramps. You end up in a bad situation. So just keep in mind when booking freight that the more equipment that you have, the more limitations you can remove, the more versatile you are. You open up a lot of availability. So when you're rolling, the first thing you need to do is pull out a notebook, pull out a Rolodex, pull out an iPad, pull out your CRM, software that you're going to use, and just keep taking names and numbers down of people that you meet along the way. You'll have somebody knock on your window at a truck stop. Can I get a business card? To wear in the marketing, having your company shirts and stuff. To building out an online profile on Google or a website or Facebook where they can actually find you. Put some content on there so they can see what you're doing, what you look like, and if you're a professional. So those things will set you apart from the competition. And if you're not on Google, if you don't have a website, which you can get through GoDaddy, Weebly, there's a million different ones out there for $50 a month, $20 a month, whatever it is. There's a lot of different ways to go about that. But if you're not on Google and if you're not on Facebook, then you basically don't exist. Because if somebody is going to hire you, the first thing they're going to do is go look you up to see if you have bad ratings, to see if you have, whatever with the Better Business Bureau, to see if you're legitimate or not. So doing those things will set you apart from somebody who doesn't have it. So those are just that's like a minimum, like a basic score when you're coming in talking about, X to Z or whatever. So one big thing that you need to focus on is, when you meet somebody. Now, this doesn't mean go behind. If you have a good broker or a good agent or somebody you're tied in with that you do a lot of things with, don't go around their back and cut their throat, try to take their customer. Just go through them, and if you have a problem with the rate, negotiate it better with them, or just don't haul for them. That if you're going to haul for somebody and build a relationship with a broker, there's no reason to cut them out of it. If they're getting that freight for you, they're working for you as a salesperson almost, and you can't have a salesperson in every city in America. It's impossible, and you can't book only your own freight all the time unless you're a pretty big company or you just have an in with somebody and you're hauling a specific thing. Then you're going to be hauling back hauls off the load board, or you're going to deadhead back if you're getting enough rate. That's fine too. It just depends on how your business is set up and how you want to do things. One of the major things is getting relationships. I've always preached on this. I know several people that I'm friends with, Shaggy, different guys, they always preach on getting relationships, getting your own customers. When you're a one truck operation or even a 3 truck or like us, 10, 15, 20 trucks, whatever you got, it's hard to service customers all the time without having a separate brokerage where you can book it out to a truck that's in that area. Because if they call you, they need that stuff moved today. You got a truck in Minnesota and they're in Florida, you can't get there today or even tomorrow. Or even if you did or were able to get there by Wednesday, maybe there's no good freight going to that area. So then you're getting beat up. taking a crappy load just to get there to cover fuel, to take care of your customer, to get their stuff handled. You know, it's kind of tough to do that. So keep those things in mind. You know, when you do have a customer, do the best thing you can to service them. You know, you need to accept credit cards, cash payments, whatever you can to, you know, do it on delivery. One of the things we do to protect ourselves is we don't unload the equipment until it's paid for, whether it be credit card, cash, whatever. A lot of companies, I mean, it's a big company, we'll take a check, but if it's a small mom and pop company, you just don't know. You know, it's hard to trust that anymore. But again, they could go on their credit card and cancel it. I hear people say all the time, or, you know, whatever. So the best thing is cash, but that makes it tough because a lot of people aren't going to do that. They're going to say, you know, whatever the reason, they want to be able to write it off, you know, whatever, or they just don't have the money or whatever it is. So we run into a lot of situations like that in our company, and we just don't haul that freight. We haul people that, you know, haul for people that pay their bills, they can prove it. They don't have a problem paying for it up front if they need to or whatever. And we just, you know, do what we need to do to get the job done, and everybody's happy, everything's copacetic. But just to build relationships, you know, take that guy's name and number down. You know, just over time, beat the bushes and make phone calls. If you see something, you're driving by and you see somebody that is pulling out of a place, pull in there and see who's pulling for them, and see if they'll let you pull for them. See if, you know, their capacity is being met. If it's not, maybe you know, they need trucks, maybe they need relationships, and go in there and do what you got to do to get the job done. You know, maybe the first couple loads you got to take kind of at a, you know, moderate rate or whatever, to build up to where you have authority, you have respect, and you can say, nah, I'm not doing it for that, I'll do it for this. That's the thing, is sticking with it, man. You know, the statistic of the hotshot industry and trucking industry in general, the authorities that come in and go out, it's like an 86% failure rate or something, even higher in the first year. Second year is not much better. It's in the 70s, 80s. So, you know, we beat the statistics being around as long as we have, and we've done that by doing a good job for people, doing what we say we're going to do, and, you know, just keeping it moving, man. And it's trucking. I always tell, because I've had situations too where, you know, the traffic or breakdown or whatever, you know, the load couldn't get to where it needed to be, and the broker, the customer, the agent, or whoever, somebody's pissed off, right? And they're always like, you know, they blow up explosively. And I always tell them, it's trucking, man. If you're in trucking, there's a lot of moving pieces. Trucks break down. Weather happens. Floods happen. Roads get destroyed. Traffic happens. You know, somebody decides to have a domestic problem up in front of you and get out of their car and kill their wife or something, and it stops traffic for 8 hours. I mean, there's just things that are unforeseen where you can't move, and, you know, getting all bent out of shape because somebody's mad about it, or it might be costing you money, is just something that you just can't do. You have to just roll with the flow, realize that things happen. Don't let it stress you out too bad. You know, with this whole coronavirus thing, everybody's sitting around the TV just stressing out, which, you know, is not good for your immune system. And they're watching, you know, a bunch of misinformation on the internet, on Facebook and stuff. You know, constantly worried in a pandemic. Nobody knows what's going to happen. You know, I sometimes think maybe we're going to get beat up a little bit if they start closing things down, that only the drive-ins and the reefers will be moving the most, and getting a really good rate to move probably. But flatbed stuff, you know, moving tractors and building supplies and steel and pipe and things that we move, it might not move as much. And it might. There's just no guarantee. There's no crystal ball that's going to tell us yay or nay. So it's just something that we have to focus on and continue to do our job, continue to try to do a good job, and continue to move forward. If we can do that, we'll do well. But the video that I wanted to make is primarily about getting customers, how to get loads, and what load boards to use. So again, I'll reiterate, you know, DAT and truck stop, use those two. You need to be focusing on flatbed, step deck, hotshot freight in the beginning. Get set up with as many brokers as you can, because you don't have anybody. If you want to move your truck, that's the easiest way to move your truck right now. Sometimes the rates aren't that good. Learn to negotiate. Know that when you ask for a rate, if you want 200 more, they're going to cut it down to 100. If you ask for 1,000 more, they're going to cut it by 500. These guys are reading off a script that's in front of them, and their goal is to cut it in half as soon as, I mean, that's negotiation 101. If I ask for 1,000, you know, whether I'm selling a car or whatever, the next person is going to cut it in half, you know. So try to have them put the number out first every time you can, because if they ask you, hey, what do you need to do this load? And you say, oh, I'll do it for 1,500. And they're thinking, damn, that's cheap. We were going to pay 28. You know, so try to get them to say the number first, because I had a situation the other day, and they do that all the time if they're good negotiators. The guy was like, oh, what do you need to do this load? I said, well, I don't know. What do you need to move the load? And oh, I don't know, what do you need to get your truck to get on the load? I said, man, I don't know. I said, where did you want to be on the load? Where do you want to be? That way, if they say the first number, we know we have a starting ground. His number was actually higher than my number. His number was $3,000. Mine was 28. So he threw out 3. I was 200 up all the way off the bat. So that's something to take into consideration when booking freight is negotiation tactics. You can study negotiation on YouTube. Get a mentor. There's several ways to go about doing that. But that's something you need to, the art of the deal is important. Knowing how to be a deal maker. This is sales. If you're going to run trucks, you're in sales. You're in negotiation. Unless you hire it out and you get a dispatch company or you sign on with somebody who handles it for you and has contracts. If you're doing it yourself, you're in sales. You're in sales. No matter how you look at it, you have to sell yourself. You got to sell your truck. You got to sell your reliability, your accountability. There's just a lot of things that you guys come in and they don't think about. So how do you get your loads? Obviously, booking off load boards. Stay in the areas where the freight is. Don't go to Montana. Don't go to California. Don't go to these places where you get a good rate going in and nothing coming out. And then build relationship in that area. Take out a map. Say, hey, I want to stay here, here, and here, and make it realistic. We kind of stay on the east, the Midwest, and the Southeast region. We don't go to New York and up that way, but we do have some semi guys. We have a couple guys that live in New York that like going up to that way, in Massachusetts and stuff. I don't like going that way. None of my hotshot guys, need to be going that way because there's nothing coming out. You might get something going up, but nothing coming out. We try to stay in Ohio, Indiana, Kentucky, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Minnesota, just that whole area. Texas, we try to stay away from West Texas. That's a whole different type of industry, type of work. You'd say oil field. West Texas is oil field. That's where the hotshot originated, and you got to have somebody in the know out there. You're not getting a lot of that stuff off the load boards. There's some, but it's going to be scraps. It's thin pickings for that stuff. So if you go out to West Texas, you're not getting anything coming out. If you go, and you stay at Houston, San Antonio, Dallas, Fort Worth, you're going to be moderately okay. That market's been kind of a bum lately, but we've been doing all right. We've got some good guys coming out of there that pulled out of there this week. For $180 to anywhere from $180 to $220 a mile, which is average. It's nothing to call home about, but it's getting stuff done and getting the bills paid. So right now, I would say the load board average. If you're doing well, and you know how to work the load boards, you have a few relationships, you should be able to book $160 a mile, no problem all day long. My previous video, I talked about how you can be profitable at $1.60 a mile if your expenses are set up right. So. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Subscribe to my channel, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. We're all over the place. I'm going to be producing more content as time goes on. But again, Money Penny Trucking, that's my company. The Hotshot Guy, the real trucking guy, the trucking guru, trucking mentor. If you guys need anything or have any questions, shoot me a call. Go on our website, message me somehow. I'll be glad to answer any questions. But that's it, man. And I'm going to be making a bunch of other content, but this is one topic that I wanted to speak on, is how do I go about getting freight. So you need to, if we are doing a little punch list over this, is you need to get on the 2 main load boards. Then you need to have some people emailing you, get on their email list. If you see a place that looks like they haul a lot of, things, manufacturing facility that hauls a lot of things that you could fit weight-wise or that would work on your trailers, or if you see a lot of hotshot type trucks, LTL trucks pulling out of those areas, you need to go in there, knock on the door, walk right in and say, hey, who's in charge of shipping? Who do I need to talk to? What do I need to do? And go that route, and just work on getting customers. And it takes time. It just takes time. You're not going to step into this and make $3 to $4 a mile every day unless you have an in. Excuse me. I know people that, their brother works for some major manufacturing facility. They get a truck and trailer. They already have a customer right off the bat. And that works until that guy gets laid off, retires, whatever, moves out. That's great. I know that there's several people on YouTube that are they have a channel and they're pretty big and they have their own manufacturing facility, or they know somebody that has, or they're in with 3 or 4 conglomerate and they've been around for a long time. One of my good friends actually, I worked on his house in my old construction business, is one of the reasons why I got into this. He's been doing hotshot for like 15 years. And he was set up with the AC companies, and he'd been doing it like, 15 years. Didn't work for anybody else. Didn't do anything else. That's all he did. And he would deadhead back, just run ACs all over, the West, going from Oklahoma to Arkansas to Texas, and made really good money doing that. $3 a mile loads all the time, consistently. Even $4 a mile sometimes. Light stuff. stuff that didn't need a lot of tarps. Just super easy, and he's been doing it for so long that he's on the roster, you know. So it is going to be tough if you try to walk into that facility and get on their roster. They already have a roster, you know, with a ton of guys on it. So, and they're just not falling off, and they're not going out crazy on capacity where they need more people. So everybody tries to get in on those things, but you're kind of like the fill-in guy if you do get into those things, or if those things ever hit the load boards, which, you know, they do here and there. You're still going to be the fill-in guy no matter what. Even if you have a broker and he's bidding that stuff every week and trying to get it cheaper and cheaper and cheaper, whatever, you're still going to be the fill-in guy. Those guys have been there for so long. They're reliable. Their consistency is there. They're trusted, and they're not going anywhere. You know, so I know one of the things that I disagree with on some of the other mentors out there is, you know, just go get your own customers. Go get your own customers. It's not realistic. In fact, the majority of trucking companies, if you go look at the statistics, actually use the general freight load boards, you know, truck stop and DAT. You know, the average company is 1 to 6 trucks in America. It's like 80% of the market. The you know, 30 to 40%, I think, a little bit off on the sticks, but pretty close, is the conglomerates. 30 to 40% is the big ones. You know, your Swifts, your Schneiders, your Knight Transports, JB Hunts, all those big guys. But the majority of it is 1 to 6 trucks. And those 1 to 6 trucks primarily get their loads from the load boards. And I'm sure that a lot of those companies also have contracts in place or relationships in place, or, you know, they're pulling out of the same places all the time. My biggest recommendation is to get at least 3 facilities that are really close to home, within 50 miles, unless you live out in the middle of nowhere. But say you live in Ohio, try to get 3 manufacturing facilities. Just go to those steel plants, you know, whatever, AC plants, generator plants, whatever they make that'll work for you, that's in your weight class in LTL, or, you know, 20,000 under or whatever. If they make, I have a guy in Ohio that they make like snow plow equipment. So in the winters it's booming, in the summers there's nothing going on. But they make you know, snow plow attachments and gear and the whole nine. So they outfit, you know, the cities, the municipalities. So we take that stuff and haul it all over the country. And I've been set up with that guy for a while, real good guy. But you know, that's just one thing, is get at least 3 people real close so that you consistently can haul from them. And before you try to get on the freight market, you know, to leave home, just go call them. Hey, do you have anything? Do you have anything? Do you have anything? If those things don't work for you, then try to find somebody else that's more consistent. But you should be able to get something close to home that you can leave out with. And then at least if you're doing a triangle, you can bing around, you know, off the load board on the other 2, but the one going out is going to give you a decent rate. Same stuff all the time. You know what you're hauling, same place every time, so it's consistency. Because you can haul sporadically all over and not know what's going on and not know where your profit margins always are, and try to keep good numbers and work really hard at it. You know, you can be successful. We did it in the beginning. But having certain, you know, places throughout the country that you can book things that are consistent. You know what you're going to pick up. You know how long it takes to load over there. You know if you're going to have to tarp or not. You know if you're going to have to do certain things. So that changes the game when you're going out. And then so you can grab that, leave, go out, bing around 2 or 3 times, and then come home. And then so if you're doing a triangle, you've got one point of the triangle leaving out, doing really well, you know, a consistent freight that you know what it is. Then the other 2, you might be doing something that's in the transactional freight market. But you can still do good freight. I would say to a lot of guys, wide loads, oversized stuff. There's a lot of stuff out there that you can get permits, get set up with a permit company. They'll get that stuff for you. Your average permits are $100 to $300 for, you know, all the way across country. But you can get set up with those things, and you'll have a lot of loads that are, you know, 4 inches over on each side. Your mirrors hang over worse than that, or, you know, 2 inches over on each side. Or you might get there, book a wide load permit, and the thing, they end up folding it. It's not even wide load, but you get paid for it as wide load. Or whatever the scenario is, just keep trying to remove the limitations. You know, the longer the trailer, the more you can haul. The more the trailer will haul weight-wise, the better off you are. Air ride. Specialty equipment, you know, being able to haul coils with, you know, coil racks and chains and dunnage, you know, 8-foot tarps, tarping protection, whatever you need, you know, winch if you're hauling, you know, vehicles, as far as, you know, it could be whatever, specialty equipment, you know, winch will help, you know, the right ramps so you can haul things like, whatever, fire trucks, you know, deuce and halves, UPS trucks, FedEx trucks. You know, there's always going to be a situation where if you're the guy in the area, you have the equipment to get the job done, somebody's willing to pay a premium to do that. You know, and that happens to us quite often. You know, those guys get, you know, $2,800 loads, $3,000 loads, you know, whatever, $2, $3 a mile to do those things. And it's not that big a deal. You know, you get your permits, you keep your banners on hand, you know, your flags, you put your stuff on there, you do what you got to do. Printers, those are big in trucks too. Print out your permits. You're gonna have BOL situations where you need printer. You can get a printer for $39 at Walmart, $40, whatever. It'll link to your phone. Print your stuff right there on the go. You know, you don't have to worry about going to a truck stop or whatever. And there's gonna be situations where you might need that for you new guys coming into it. You know, a professional truck driver has a printer. You got to be in office. You got to have somewhere to sleep. You got to be a truck all in one. You know, so. But anyway, man, you guys have any questions? Feel free to call me. Again, you know, like, click, share, whatever. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Thanks.